Today, we are going to go get some decorations for the tank. When it comes to open water predators like the Payara or other large characins, if you have too many decorations in the tank, one, if the Payara gets spooked, it'll run into the decoration and puncture its body with whatever the hell is in the tank. That's if you have pointy branches. Two, if you have too many decorations, the fish can't swim, right? There's not enough room for the fish to swim unless you have a huge tank. And three, a lot of times it looks really crazy with a large characin or a large predatory fish patrolling its tank with nothing in its way. In the past, I was a pure advocate of bare bottom tanks, just fish and equipment, that's it. But I've come to realize that even though it's a lot easier for me to take care of when it comes to having absolutely nothing in the tank, there are some drawbacks when it comes to this. A lot of fish actually do feel a lot more comfortable when it comes to the different colors of substrate or different types of decorations you have in the tank. Let's say you have a handful of bikers. If you were to put bikers into a tank that's bare bottom, and you put that same biker into a tank that has substrate, especially dark substrate, the colors of the bikers change. Whether it be camouflaging into the background or camouflaging into the substrate, nevertheless the colors change. You'll see a lot of biker keepers have red substrate in their tanks. This is because bikers emit the nicest colors when it comes to having red substrate. Another example of substrate that looks nice would be black substrate. The colors of the bikers really darken up when you have dark substrate in your tank. Now when you have light substrate or pale substrate, the bikers kind of get washed out. They lighten up. The patterns on those fish aren't as drastic as when it comes to having red or black substrate. Another fish that kind of blends into its substrate is the Arowana. You might hear this every once in a while, the white tank treatment. This is when you put an Arowana into a completely white tank and then it brings out that shine, and sometimes it even turns Arowanas gold. The perfect example of a specimen that turns gold in a white tank or a white tub is the Giardini. You put a Giardini into a white tub and it'll turn gold. And then vice versa, if you put a Giardini in a black tank, it turns black. Put in some substrate. Watch your fish change colors. You'll like it. And if you don't like it, just take it out. So today we're gonna go get a handful of decorations. Decorations meaning driftwood. I don't want anything on the bottom of the tanks just because I want that fairly open. And I don't want anything kind of blocking the way of my predator fish as they patrol the tanks. But yeah, so today we're gonna go check that out, see what the fish store has, and stay tuned. All right, so what we got today was these two pieces right here. The bubble disc for the Payara and this piece of driftwood. The reason for this piece of driftwood is I particularly picked this shape because I want it to go on the other side of that outflow. As you can see on the right side, there's a piece, and I also want this one on this piece and on this side. But the only issue I'm running into is a lot of people on the forums are telling me to not use driftwood that's really pokey, spiky per se. That one is already pretty spiky, but this one, on the other hand, is really spiky. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut these points off, the ones that are really sharp. I'm going to cut those off, make sure they're dull, and put them into the tank. Something like this is okay, but something like this is no good. So let's do that now, and we'll see how it goes. Little points. And yeah, now this wood I consider to be pretty safe now. Don't have to worry about, oh, there's one right there. Right here. You don't have to do this with all fish. I just do it with my Payara because they are open water fish and points are just not good. they might freak out and swim straight into a spike, and then that'd be all bad. So let's go ahead and take this wood and get it all rinsed off. Perfect. Alright, so now what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to try and figure out how we're gonna mount that wood. Something like this. I definitely want the wood to be out of the way of the Payara while he's swimming hella crazy, but I do kind of want it to look symmetrical. So however we make it, I'm trying to make it both look symmetrical and good for the Payara as well. So here's the second thing we're going to do. We're going to take out that air stone on the right side, right corner, and replace it with this air stone right here. This bubble disc. Just so we can have the flow wherever we want it. That air stone is particularly small. I actually had some ceramic rings holding it down in the corner. I think it looks kind of ugly. So we're going to have this in the middle of the sand, and hopefully this emits more bubbles and it's more even. Okay, so this bubble disc did not work. It floated to the top, and that's not what I needed. So I just remembered that in my pond, I had one of these big bubble disc bubblers. So I'm just going to use this in the meantime and figure something else for my pond. Alright, so we're pretty much done. On the right side, we added this big bubble disc that's pushing a lot of air upwards. And let me explain the current a little bit. So the way my sump is plumbed, this is the water that's going into the tank. Goes here, then it goes down towards the middle and shoots the water this way. So kind of put it in perspective, water goes like this from the sump here down, shoots across, and then gets pumped up by the air, and then it goes into the overflow, which is right here. So the right side has a lot of flow, but the left side has a lot of directional flow. So it's a big circle, and I believe the common spots are probably in the back where I put the wood, and that's where the Payara is hanging out right now. Also, a little update on the pothos. As you can see in the tank, I actually took out that DIY water polisher, and I actually went to Petco and got a little breeder box. And open this up. I lined up the breeder box with polyester filling, and then I'm actually holding it in place with a mag flow, the magnet glass cleaner, and it's being held on through the glass, which is on the other side of this brick. So yeah, this is my water polisher now, and it's kind of working. It's brand new, so it's not that dirty, and I wanted to keep the tank less cluttered because when the Payara grows, he's going to need as much space as possible. This is not pothos, but this weird little plant, it grew, and it was growing downwards, so I made it a little stand from 2 suction cups and a little bit of egg crate, and it just kind of grows, and I'm just having it grow this way, so when it gets bigger I can I don't know, maybe have it crawl up the wall or something. But with this piece of pothos, this was the one that was growing on the floor. The reason why I moved this pothos vine upwards is because I want this specific plant to get the light from outside. This is a window, so during the daytime it'll get the light from outside, and hopefully it'll grow along the back of this window. Okay, so I am expecting a new tank mate for these guys. It is a kerasin, it is from Africa, and it is a highly predatory fish. This is a fish that I've been looking into for a long time, and being that the Payara's well-being is my highest priority, I've looked into this fish, and a lot of people actually kept this fish with Payara with great success. So I'm currently looking into that, and the next upload should be me introducing the new fish into the tank. Just depending on the availability of the fish at my LFS, the next upload should be the addition of the new predatory fish. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and peace guys.